My name's Detective James Mitchell, and I've been pounding the darkened pavements of New York City as a cop for over a decade. Tonight, though, felt different. It was as if the shadows themselves were conspiring against me. The city that never sleeps seemed to be holding its breath, waiting for something sinister to unfold. As I cruised through the desolate streets, my patrol car's tires whispered against the wet pavement. Raindrops danced on the roof, providing an eerie soundtrack to the unsettling silence that enveloped the night. Dispatch had called me in to investigate a disturbance at an abandoned psychiatric hospital on the outskirts of Brooklyn, a place notorious for whispered tales of tortured souls and forgotten nightmares. The hospital loomed ahead, its broken windows and decaying facade telling stories of a time long gone. I tightened my grip on the steering wheel, a subtle unease creeping into my bones. Ignoring the uneasy feeling gnawing at the pit of my stomach, I stepped into the damp darkness. The stale air inside tasted like regret and despair. My flashlight barely cut through the thick blackness that clung to the walls like a shroud. The echo of my footsteps reverberated, creating an ominous symphony that resonated through the empty corridors. As I moved deeper into the heart of the asylum, I heard a distant sound, a soft, rhythmic tapping that echoed through the empty halls. It was as if the building itself was trying to communicate, a language of despair and madness. The tapping led me to a series of locked doors. Each one bore witness to the suffering of those long forgotten. I hesitated for a moment, the air growing heavier with every breath. With a deep breath, I forced open the door to a room bathed in an otherworldly glow. There, in the center of the room, a flickering candle illuminated a weathered Ouija board. The planchette trembled as if possessed by an unseen force. My heart raced as I scanned the room for any sign of life. That's when I heard it, a child's laughter, innocent yet haunting, echoing in the desolation. I moved closer, the air thickening with a sense of foreboding. The planchette on the Ouija board began to move, spelling out words in a language I couldn't comprehend. The laughter grew louder, filling the room with an unsettling cacophony. Suddenly the temperature plummeted and the walls seemed to close in. Shadows twisted and contorted, taking on unnatural forms that danced in the flickering candlelight. The child's laughter morphed into a guttural whisper that slithered through the air. Terrified, I stumbled backward, my flashlight flickering. The words on the Ouija board spelled out a name that sent a shiver down my spine. The room became a vortex of malevolence, a gateway to something beyond my understanding. In a panic, I fled the room, the chilling laughter following me through the haunted corridors. The once still air now pulsed with an otherworldly energy. The asylum, once a sanctuary for the disturbed, had become a breeding ground for the supernatural. As I burst out into the rain-soaked night, the asylum seemed to exhale a sigh of relief. The child's laughter faded into the distance, leaving me standing alone in the cold darkness. I stumbled back to my patrol car, haunted by the paranormal encounter that defied all explanation. New York City may be a concrete jungle, but within its hidden corners, the ghosts of the past lingered, waiting to ensnare those brave enough to venture into the abyss. And on that night, Detective James Mitchell, with over a decade of experience, learned that even the most seasoned cop can be shaken to the core by the unknown horrors that lurk in the shadows. As a seasoned state trooper with 17 years of service, I've encountered my fair share of close calls and unsettling situations. However, a chilling incident from over a decade ago still haunts my memory, back when I was relatively new to the job. The night was thick with darkness as I patrolled the desolate interstate around 3:45 a.m. Unlike usual practice, I made little effort to conceal my patrol car near a bush, choosing visibility over stealth. The decision to deviate from my routine would soon lead me into a disturbing encounter. My route led me to a gas station on the side of the interstate, closed not due to the late hour but because of temporary closure. In the dimly lit lot, two cars sat adjacent to each other. Initially, nothing seemed amiss, but the eerie stillness urged me to remain vigilant. Parking my car strategically to survey both the interstate and the mysterious vehicles, I realized there were no occupants in either car. The closed gas station, devoid of any employees, added to the growing sense of suspicion. Exiting my vehicle with hands on my belt, I approached the parked cars, tapping on their windows to no response. As I continued my scrutiny, occasional cars zipped by on the interstate. Seeking answers, I approached the closed gas station, knocking on its glass. Turning around, I found myself dumbfounded, questioning the origin of these seemingly abandoned cars. Suddenly, a young man in his 20s emerged from around the building, urgently seeking my help. Claiming his car wouldn't start, he begged me to check under the hood, despite my immediate disclaimer about my lack of mechanical expertise. Ignoring my warnings, he popped the hood, and I reluctantly joined him. Inspecting the engine with little car knowledge, I asked if his battery had died. His response, "I don't think so," only heightened my suspicion. Glancing at the neighboring car, I inquired about its owner. The young man claimed ignorance, mentioning he parked there to check for a porta-potty in the back. A growing unease settled upon me as I scrutinized the situation. The young man's peculiar behavior and the unanswered questions led my instincts to kick into high gear. Glancing back at the two cars, I observed the first man looking anxiously at something or someone. Without warning, a second figure approached, brandishing a knife. Reacting swiftly, I holstered my gun and aimed it at him. Both men surrendered, dropping the knife and raising their hands. Calling for backup, I detained the knife wielder and secured the second man. Upon investigation, I ventured to the rear of the gas station, discovering a scene that would forever mark my career. Two freshly dead bodies, dismembered and wrapped in garbage bags, lay beside a shovel near the woods. The grim reality emerged. The two individuals I encountered were not stranded motorists, but perpetrators planning a hasty burial of their victims. Their choice to bury the bodies behind a gas station off the interstate baffled me, leaving me disturbed and haunted by the notion that a routine night patrol had brought me face to face with a gruesome crime. My name's Officer Sarah Thompson, and I've been patrolling the eerie streets of this quiet town for nearly a decade. Night shifts have their own rhythm, a symphony of silence disrupted only by the occasional howl of a distant wind or the unsettling creaks of unknown creatures lurking in the shadows. Tonight, however, the mundane tranquility shattered as I stumbled upon a scene that still haunts my dreams. The moon hung low in the ink-black sky as I navigated my patrol car through winding roads lined with towering trees. I turned a corner and there it was, an abandoned sedan sitting in the middle of the road like a forgotten relic. My instincts kicked in, and I eased my car to a stop, casting its headlights upon the motionless vehicle. The air seemed to thicken, a premonition clawing at the edges of my consciousness. I grabbed my flashlight, the cool metal offering a meager sense of reassurance, and approached the forsaken car with caution. The night held its breath as I circled the vehicle. Windows tinted like pools of obsidian betrayed nothing of the secrets within. My breath formed spectral clouds in the frigid air as I scanned the surroundings. Silence cocooned us, an unnatural stillness that hung like a shroud over the deserted road. I rapped my knuckles on the sedan's window, the sound reverberating through the quiet night. No response. A bead of unease trickled down my spine as I peered inside, empty, deserted. The car was a ghost, left behind by an unseen specter. Just as I was about to radio in the strange discovery, a guttural growl echoed from the surrounding darkness. My hand instinctively reached for my sidearm as the shadows around me seemed to rete with unseen malevolence. The sedan's engine roared to life, headlights piercing the night like blazing eyes. I stumbled back, heart pounding, as the car accelerated towards me. Panic gripped me, and I dove out of the way just in time. The sedan sped past, leaving behind a swirl of dust and an echoing maniacal laughter that curdled my blood. I scrambled to my feet, adrenaline coursing through my veins. The night, once a canvas of quiet, had transformed into a theater of the macabre. My radio crackled to life, but all I could hear was static and that haunting laughter lingering in the air. Determined to make sense of the inexplicable, I pursued the sedan. My patrol car tore through the winding roads, chasing the elusive specter that seemed to mock me with every twist and turn. The laughter echoed through the darkness, taunting me like a siren's song, leading me further into the abyss. As I rounded a bend, the sedan vanished. No tire tracks, no trace. It had become one with the shadows, leaving me alone in the oppressive silence. The night seemed to mock my futile pursuit, a reminder that some mysteries are not meant to be unraveled. I sat alone in my patrol car, the engine idling, surrounded by the unsettling stillness. The abandoned sedan had become a phantom, a manifestation of the unknown that lurks beyond the veil of the ordinary. And as I resumed my patrol through the quiet town, the memory of that spectral laughter clung to the edges of the night, a reminder that some encounters leave a mark on the soul that time cannot erase. It is my 25th year as a police officer, and the night shift in New York City has always been a canvas of shadows. Tonight, however, the darkness wears a different face, one that even my seasoned eyes can't fully decipher. My name is Detective Frank Harris, a veteran of the force. Tonight's radio chatter is hushed, as if the city itself is holding its breath. Dispatch sends me to investigate a disturbance in an old, forgotten precinct building on the outskirts of Queens. They say it's just kids messing around, but my gut tells me there's more to it. The precinct stands as a relic of another era, its windows shattered like eyes that have seen too much. I step through the broken entrance, the air thick with a chilling fog that wraps around my senses. The beam of my flashlight dances nervously, revealing dust-covered desks and faded crime scene photos on the walls. As I make my way through the silent halls, memories of my years on the force flicker like ghostly apparitions. But there's a new energy tonight, an unsettling vibration beneath the floorboards. My radio crackles with a static-filled whisper, a voice that seems to know my name. I shake it off, attributing it to the old equipment. The disturbance is said to be in the basement, a place where evidence and nightmares are buried. The narrow staircase creaks under my weight, the air becoming denser with each step. The flickering bulb casts elongated shadows that writhe like phantoms on the walls. The basement door groans open, revealing a room cloaked in darkness. My flashlight catches something unsettling. A flicker of movement, a silhouette that dances on the periphery of my vision. I squint into the black, heart pounding in my chest. Whispers, soft and insidious, slither through the silence. They speak of unsolved cases and the faces that still haunt my dreams. The room seems to breathe, a malevolent force that wraps around me like a vice. I reach for my gun, the weight of it reassuring in my trembling hands. The whispers escalate into a cacophony, and suddenly, the room is alive with echoes of the past. Cold fingers brush against my skin and the temperature drops. The walls pulse with an energy I can't comprehend. My flashlight flickers and dies, plunging me into complete darkness. Panic sets in as I fumble for my radio. The voice, now unmistakably sinister, murmurs details of cases long closed, secrets buried with the victims. I stagger backward, desperated to escape the suffocating grip of the unseen. But the door slams shut with a force that echoes through the abyss. Alone in the pitch-black darkness, I feel a presence closing in. Whispers turn into guttural growls, and the air is charged with malevolence. The walls seem to close in, closing the gap between the living and the dead. I fumble for my flashlight, praying for its return, but the shadows seem to swallow every trace of light. In the suffocating silence, a voice, not my own, utters a single word: justice. And with that, the darkness releases its grip, the door swinging open once more. I stumble into the cold night air, gasping for breath as if I've escaped the clutches of the abyss itself. As I stand outside the abandoned precinct, I can't shake the feeling that something has followed me into the night. My 25 years on the force have taught me to face the darkest corners of humanity. But tonight, I faced a darkness that defied explanation. A darkness that lingers in the echoes of the past, waiting for the next detective to uncover its secrets. My name's Detective Alex Mercer, a seasoned cop with a knack for navigating the darkest corners of the city. This night, however, unfolded as a twisted tale that still sends shivers down my spine. A distressed call, whispered pleas for help, emanated from that desolate place. The air hummed with an eerie tension as I parked my squad car, its headlights cutting through the inky darkness. The warehouse loomed ahead, a skeletal structure that seemed to swallow the moonlight. As I approached, the creaking doors revealed an abyss within. My flashlight flickered to life, its beam carving through the thick shadows. I called out, the sound swallowed by the oppressive silence. The deeper I ventured, the more the air seemed to thicken. The scent of decay hung in the cold, stagnant air, and my senses tingled with a forbidding presence. Each step echoed through the cavernous space, a symphony of dread. The rescue mission quickly morphed into an unnerving dance with the unknown. I stumbled upon a room cloaked in darkness, its walls adorned with cryptic symbols. The air pulsed with a malevolence that sent a chill down my spine. Something wasn't right, but my instincts propelled me forward. A distant sound, a whisper in the void, reached my ears. "Help me," it pleaded, echoing through the desolation. I followed the ethereal voice, my flashlight illuminating a figure huddled in the corner. Relief surged as I approached, but it was short-lived. The figure, shrouded in tattered garments, turned with agonizing slowness. Hollow eyes met mine, devoid of emotion, and a sinister smile crept across its face. The air grew thick with a malevolent force, and the room seemed to pulsate with an otherworldly energy. In an instant, the figure vanished, leaving me in a room that had transformed into a nightmarish tableau. The symbols on the wall seemed to wreathe with life, casting grotesque shadows that danced in macabre harmony. Panic clawed at my chest as I realized the distress call was nothing but a lure. A series of guttural growls reverberated through the room, and the shadows coalesced into grotesque forms. My radio emitted a distorted static, drowning out my attempts to call for backup. The walls closed in, and the temperature plummeted, my breath visible in the frigid air. As I stumbled backward, the room seemed to warp, revealing a labyrinth of corridors that defied logic. Each turn led me deeper into a maze of dread, the whispers growing louder, taunting me with fragmented sentences that spoke of ancient malevolence. A flicker of movement caught my eye, and I found myself facing a doppelganger, an ethereal reflection of my own terror-stricken visage. The air resonated with laughter, an unholy chorus that seemed to mock my desperate attempts to escape. My footsteps echoed through the shifting corridors, each turn leading me further into the heart of the nightmarish trap. I felt a suffocating weight on my chest, the walls closing in with a sinister intent. The distorted whispers became a cacophony, their words a maddening jumble that threatened to unravel my sanity. In a moment of despair, I stumbled upon the room with the symbols once more. The malevolent force intensified, and the figures on the wall seemed to converge, their spectral eyes fixated on me. The room became a vortex, pulling me into an abyss that defied reason. As the darkness consumed me, I awoke outside the warehouse, the cold night air biting into my skin. The rescue mission had been a trap, a twisted riddle woven by an unseen force. My radio crackled to life, dispatch unaware of the harrowing ordeal I had just endured. Haunted by the echoes of that night, I retraced my steps to the squad car, the warehouse standing silent and foreboding in the distance. The symbols on its walls seemed to sear into my memory, a chilling reminder that some calls for help are nothing but siren songs, luring the unsuspecting into the clutches of the supernatural.